Well, how are we doing on this Friday night? And it's night because it's like 8:30, 9 o'clock, somewhere around there. Eastern Standard Time, of course. Uh, I was watching all kinds of great videos online um, that deals with gardening, of course. Um, I have watched a few nonchalant kind of like I don't want to say investment kind of things, but like your S&P and your Dow and all that kind of crap. I watch that stuff all the time. I don't play in the market with that, but I watch that kind of stuff because that kind of tells me what we're going to be getting into within a few weeks to a few days to the next couple of months. You know, I don't watch the news because, well, the news is full of lies and bullshit. So, I watch the stock market. The stock market pretty much tells me what I need to know, and then on top of that, I watch the every Saturday morning. My time comes on at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's called the Farmer's Ag Report, and they do like soybean and corn and wheat and pork and beef and this and that, and they talk about what's going on now, what there was last month, what the next couple of months coming ahead is gonna be, what actually gonna be, but what they're looking at to be. Yeah, I watch all kinds of things on agricultural form to what the dollar's doing, what the dollar's not doing, who's losing money, who's gaining money. I watch that all the time. And like I said, it helps me prepare to what I can look forward into getting what's next and everything else. Now, the other day I made the joke about eggs being $6 an 18 pack. Well, they've jumped in price again. Now they're $8 for a dozen, and which the big joke in my area is you need to guard your put surveillance cameras up and all kinds of other shit with your chickens because now chickens are worth more than catalytic converters, and we see how people stole catalytic converters a long time ago. So yeah, that's the big joke on the internet right now. I went to the doctor last week. Actually went to the eye doctor and sat there for about 2 hours. They did their test on me like a little lab rat and everything else. Now I can see better in my eye. Yeah, it's still a little red, but I can see a lot better in it because I've been putting these eye drops in my eye. One eye drop I got to put in every 4 hours, and the other eye drop I got to put in one drop every 2 hours. And it has relaxed my eye a little bit and everything else. It is a little fuzzy, but I can see a lot better, and it is a little pinkish color, like a pinkish red, but it's a lot better than it was because beforehand it was like blood red. Now it just looks like I have pink eye. But come to find out, I have arthritis in my right eye. I had to Google it. When the doctor told me that, I was like, dude, what? So I Googled it. Sure enough, popped up, and I was like, son of a bitch. So I got arthritis in my right eye. And I've been taking these eye drops. I'm supposed to go back sometime this coming week. But the problem with that is I already have a pre-existing doctor's appointment on the day I'm supposed to go back to him. So I was meant to call him this afternoon and say, hey, I can't come in my next appointment. I had to reschedule because I already have a pre-existing doctor's appointment with somebody else. So with that being said, he's not going to be happy, but hey, it is what it is. And plus another thing is I told him, do not make it early in the morning because I'm not a morning person. I might get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, take the kids to the school bus and come back home, but just because when I come back home doesn't mean I'm functionable. And they want my ass there like at 8 something in the morning. I'm like, no, not happening. Sorry about your luck, pal. If I'm gonna shell this money out, I'm gonna go when I'm ready to go, not at 8 o'clock in the morning. Not happening. Sorry, but it is what it is. I've been looking into all kinds of crap probably for the past week, grow charts, everything else, and best time to plant, best time to get things in the ground and everything else. And so I've been looking up everything from the Farmer's Almanac to other things and finding out what works great in my area. And come to find out, I didn't know this, but I can plant onions in February. I was like, actually January, February. And I was like, I don't see how it's even possible. But they say you can do it. So what I'm going to do is, there's a place down in Texas, I'm going to order some onion sets. And about mid-February, I'm going to set some sets out. And I'm going to wait a few weeks. And then in March, like early March, I'm going to set some more sets out. And then probably by like mid-March, I'm going to set some more sets out. I'm going to do that all the way up until like April. And I'm going to see exactly which ones perform better versus, the later season ones. Of course, I already know the earlier you set them, and they get their foot, like that's the root in the ground toe kind of thing, you'll get some big ass massive onions. So, and we eat a lot of onions. And another thing I'm looking into, now I've grown them not really intentionally, but I have grown them, is potatoes. And there's a couple of varieties of potatoes that I'm going to be setting probably about mid-March to early April. I'm going to be setting them. And of course those are the two things that's going to be the super early planting. But other than that, everything else is going to be, pretty much kind of like A-OK. I did look online this afternoon, or early this afternoon, at something I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I just now found a couple of the items compared to last year that were crazy ass priced, and they're like almost like what they were a couple of years ago. And that's a couple of hives. And in the past, every time I talked myself into getting it, of course I listen to everybody else and blah blah blah, and I talk myself out of it. My problem is I can talk myself out of something faster than I can think about it. Now, my other problem is, say I get online and next few weeks, whatever, I buy me a couple of hives and they come in the mail and they get dropped off. I take them out of the box and I start playing with them and putting them together. Kind of like kids with Legos. Once I start messing with something, I'm pretty well hooked. It's like, I'm not going to spend the money on something, put it together and look at it and be like, no, that's a bad idea, I'm not going to do it. Because once I take my foothold into that far into it, I'm going to do it. So, without talking myself out of it, like I said, within a few weeks, I'm going to order me a couple of hives, and when they get them, I'm going to put them together, and I'm going to be giddy, shake like a little girl, and put it together, and once they get put together, the next step will be getting bees. Now, there are all kinds of beekeepers around my area. I don't know if I'm going to order them, because they are expensive as shit as of right now, or if I can cut a deal with one of the local beekeepers around here and say, hey, if you got a bigger swarm that's going on, let's cut some heads and let's do some wheeling and dealing, some good old horse trading. And I imagine there might be a couple people that will be willing to do something like that. Just kind of get somebody new started into it. But then again, with everything and how everything is, I might have to bite the bullet and order some bees, which I really don't want to, because of course then again, what's the sense of having hives if you have no bees? But like I said, once I get the boxes, then I'm hooked, and I'm definitely going to be going that route. Now, the secondary problem I'm going to have with this is finding a extractor to get the honey from the frames, which when that time arises and comes, because those things are expensive as shit. And unless I can find somebody who has a second-hand one that has upgraded to something nicer, then I might be able to get it from them as a second-hand, which I'll definitely be looking before I even order the hives, because even if I don't order the hives first and I find me a honey extractor that's not like ragged out completely, but usable, yeah, that's like that's like putting the nail in the coffin for me. That's once I get something like that, it's over with. I'll get that, and I'll get the hives, and I'll order bees, and all I'll do is I'm willing and dealing. And sometime this year or next year, I'll have freshly slung honey. Now, I know for a fact if I could, I don't want to do the bee business thing. I just want to dabble in it, kind of get my feet wet, experience it somewhat, so to say. And if I was to get, a gallonish of honey from it, that'd be, to me, that'd be tickle pink, because I can, and I know if I was to say this for certain other people, they'd have a heart attack because it's considered a waste. But if I could get a gallon of honey, man, I'd make some great Viking mead. Oh, you better bet your sweet ass I'd make some Viking mead, and oh man, it'd be a killer. But a small bottle, like pint-sized bottle of honey, around here when I go to market, people have that to sell. But about a pint-sized bottle of honey is like, what they sell it for is like 12 to $14 for a pint thing of honey. And it's not like a pint jar. It's like, yay bigger, and like those little squeeze bears, something like that size. So like 12 to 14 bucks. I'm like, you're crazy. But I have bought one jar, and I still have that one jar because it has the comb in it. And that's something that I grew up as a kid. My grandmother had big old jars of honey with a giant piece of comb in it, because after you get done with the honey, whatever's in the comb leaks out, kind of fills the jar up a little bit more. And then when you do all that, you can take the comb out and you can chew on it like you would those little wax bottles as a kid that has a little fruit like the Coca-Cola in it, whatever. Or you can smush it, press it down real good, and get some more honey out of that, and then take the wax, and you can use the wax for candling or fire starter, whatever you want to do it with. But it is what it is. There's a few things I'm also looking at. I'm trying to see, my problem is this time of year, right before springtime, there's so many things I want to do because I've been stuck in the house all winter long. And I gotta fight myself on certain things because for one, my yard's not big enough to acquire everything that I want to put into it, and for two, I'm trying my best not to do exactly what I said I was going to do in the beginning, which is save as much as I can. And my problem is there's so many things I want to grow, so many things I want to add to my plots. There's so many things I want to stick in the yard to add things to. Raised beds, chicken pens, things like that. Now there is one thing I am going to get for sure. It's not very, it's about $300-400 ish. And it's a type of a pen. It looks like a large dog kennel kind of pen, but it's not as wide. It's a little bit more narrow, but it's about, I think, 16 feet long-ish, something like that, 16 to 20 foot long. And of course, there's cover on the sides and the top and everything. But I'm gonna stick quail inside of it, so I can have chickens and I can have quail. And I've always loved quail. We used to hunt quail a long time ago when I was a kid. And now that I'm older, I don't hunt no more. I mean, I don't want to say I will never hunt it again, but when it comes time when everything's to be hunting around here for season wise. The wife has to work, or the kids got to do something, or something's taking place, and yeah. I gave up deer hunting years ago. I gave up turkey hunting years ago. But the only thing I really enjoy, truthfully anymore, which is hard to find, is squirrel hunting. Because now it seems like all the squirrels in the county flock into the city because there's more stuff to eat in the city limits than there is in the county. So, but other than that, fishing is one of my most enjoyed pastimes, and you already heard what I plan on doing with the John boat. So there's another thing I really gotta determine. Well, mainly if I can find one cheap enough. I don't want to go out and jump, a couple grand on a John boat and then have to find a trailer and all this other shit and rigmarole and blah blah blah. So, but I'm probably about February. I'm gonna make a post on Facebook Marketplace and say, hey, I'm looking for a 14-foot John boat with a trailer. Don't need an outboard motor. If it has one, great. If it doesn't, even better. And just kind of let it sit and linger, and let these people message me and say, hey, I got one, but there's no tags on it, or I got one, but there's no title. And I'll be like, no, turn it in for scrap metal. If there ain't no title, I don't want it. Had a neighbor, got one from this one fella, and he goes, he goes, it has a title, but I don't have it in my name, it's in somebody else's. I'll get it for you here shortly. It's like a year and a half ago. The guy's still sitting there. He's like, I got a boat, can't even use it. All it does is, it's a bird bath and mosquito basin. And when he moved out, he gave it to me because I was going to drill holes in the bottom of it, put up some blocks, fill it full of dirt, and make a big old raised bed out of it. And before I could do that, somebody came down the road and they're like, hey, you want to get rid of that boat? I was like, yeah, if you want it, you can have it. And they're like, well, what do I owe you for it? Nothing. I got it for free. There's no title on it, so I can't sell it to you. And if you want to take it, load it up, there you go. They threw it in the back truck and they shagged ass. They were happier than hell. But like they said, they have a pond where they go to, and it's family owned, it's private property. So there you go. Put your boat in the water and fish all you want to. Fishing is going to be one of the main things that I'm definitely going to get really heavy into this year. Because like I said, I got them fishing poles and they're just sitting there not doing nothing. And I got to clean up this deep freezer as much as I can so I can fill it full of good old fishy fish. And so later down the road, instead of buying fish to eat, we can come out here, pull it out of the freezer, thaw it out, fry it up, bake it, do what you got to do with it. There you go. But for the most part, what you see is what you get. There hasn't been really no big updates and changes yet on anything. I'm playing by ear on a lot of things. Trying to figure out how I can kind of cut curves and pinch a few more pennies and change things around. And this past electric bill kind of bit me over the duker a little bit, but that was kind of my fault because well, I had some outdoor Christmas lights and they ran like 24/7, and I just forgot to turn them off during the daytime, and they ran night and day, night and day, night and day. And yeah, I got the electric bill on and I pulled the Fred Sanford. I was like, woo! And I was like, well, partially my fault because I didn't turn them off. So now they're not even plugged in. They're still out there, and I just haven't plugged them in a period of time because I was like, yeah, this is gonna end up biting me in the ass. And it did. But at least the house looked nice for nighttime. Not so much during the daytime because you couldn't see nothing, but at nighttime it looked like an airport, But it is what it is. But I ain't gonna keep this a long video. I just want to say my to-dos and give you little short updates and everything else. And You might see me this weekend. You might not. You might not see me till next week, sometime after my doctor and my other doctor's appointment. So who knows? Between here and there, there's no telling. But anyway, y'all have a great night. Have a great weekend, and I'll catch y'all again soon.